Right, so this is my terminal. I'm using Omaki, which is a Linux distro derived from Arch Linux. Here I'm going to copy or clone rather a GitHub starter project for AI optimized for Cloud Code. So it's called Saasufy AI Starter. I'm going to call it Inventory Manager. I'm going to initiate Claude here. So I'm going to get Claude to set up the project for us. So hopefully it will be able to set up correctly, given that the folder name is called Inventory Manager. It should give it some idea about what kind of application this is that we want to build. So you don't need to use any special command, just plain English usually does it. So just ask however you want Claude to set up. It's going to ask us for some keys, API keys, which will allow Claude to access the Saasufy control panel. As you can see here. Let's look at our Saasufy control panel here. Go into authentication page. At the bottom here, we have an existing key. However, we'll just create a new one because I can't remember what the previous one was. So once you create it and you close that window, you won't be able to see the key anymore. So it's good to note it down somewhere, but you have to be careful at the same time not to make it public since it's a secret key. So Claude is going to add this key to the right place in the project folder. And now it wants to know what the Saasufy service URL is. So actually Claude Code can figure that out by itself. I'll just get it to deploy our Saasufy service for us and then get the key by itself. So I just wrote here, please deploy it for me and update the file. So it's when it executes a deployment or any command, it just asks us to confirm. So just put OK. So here you can see it's adding the service URL to the appropriate file in our project folder. Just go back to Saasufy control panel, close that. Okay. So it's going to need this service URL to wire up our front-end application to the Saasufy service. Here it wants to see which views are already available to be able to make sense of our schema. So it's all ready to go. So I'm going to ask it, please create the basic structure, let's say main application page in index.html. Yeah, I'll just have to set it up correctly. Using that Saasufy service URL, it should be able to do it by itself. All right, it's creating the file. Okay, it's looking good. I'm just going to be very trustful because I'm feeling particularly lazy today. So I'll just let Claude I'll just accept whatever it suggests. All right, it's ready. So you can open index.html directly in your browser by double-clicking it. If you do that, if you open a file, HTML file in the browser, you'll be able to, it will work with Saasufy. You don't necessarily need a server, although it's a good idea to do that later, but for now we don't need. So can you please set up the schema? I want to be able to add new inventory items. Yeah, I want a few properties, so name, description, price, and quantity to keep track of the stock. So the schema is just the base concepts that the application needs to do its work. So in the case of an inventory management system, we probably want at least an inventory item. So let's have a look at if Claude added this model to our schema. Just wait. Okay, it's asking it to create here, so we just give it permission. So it'll do it for us. Let's have a look. Okay, we can see it created, called it inventory item. It's kind of like what I expected. Let's go yes. Okay, I think it's adding the fields now. Let's have a look. Okay, you can see name. So it added a name field to this inventory item object. So here is just basically the schema is just the base concepts or abstractions that are used in the application. So just accept. You can see it created now a description. So name, description, price, and quantity. And added some constraints in there. It was not very strict, though it did correctly observe that the price must be a positive number, with a minimum 0, and also the quantity. We can always add it or ask it to add more constraints later. It also created a view here, so that the view allows us to display a subset of the collection. It's a relatively straightforward one, so this is just showing all items in the collection by the looks of it. So we just let it do how it wants. For now, I suppose that should suffice. We'll make it fancier later. See name, description, all looking good. And here it told us that this seems to match basically what it did in the control panel. So we've got the name, description, price, quantity for an inventory item. And it's also redeployed for us, so everything is live. So here we just ask it to start implementing the front end inside the index.html. We'll just keep it all in one file for now. Since Saasufy is a low-code or no-code platform, it doesn't require much code. So let's not create too many files. It's a good idea to start creating files when you have too much code to fit in one file, or too much markup in this case. So let's keep it simple for as long as possible. I said I need a form to add new inventory items to the collection you've created. So we'll do it in the front end. We want to have just a form for now. We'll do it one step at a time, not try to overload it with too many tasks. So we just want to focus on the form to add the records. And hopefully we should be able to see them being added to the Saasufy control panel. You can see here it added a collection adder form component. It's included at least. Let's have a look at the HTML file. So you can get this by just clicking on the file. It's loading from the file system directly. You don't necessarily need a server at this stage for what we're building. When you don't want to do more advanced things like manage accounts, allow login feature, you might need to have a localhost server, but for now, we don't need. So here you can see it's adding some styling. So it hasn't added the collection adder form yet, it just imported it. Okay, this is where it's adding the inventory manager form, so we just let it do its work. I didn't Didn't do anything, just let Claude do it. All right, so collection header form component is bound to the inventory item collection. So I suppose we should be able to add new inventory items through that form. You can open index.html to test. Let's have a look, refresh this. So every time it makes a change, we just refresh and test. Let's refresh, there are no records here. Okay, let's try to add a new item. Let's say a laptop, or let's say a Dell laptop. A laptop from Dell. So a price and a quantity and add item. Clicked it. Doesn't seem like anything happened here. You can find errors in here if you look at the one of the tabs, the actual network tab. You can see errors from the WebSocket itself, but let's just get Claude to display the error because it should have shown an error on the form here. So when I click on the button to add the item, nothing happens. So let's say to please add the item to the collection. So it created a form, but the form is not yet functional. So yeah, for now, we don't need authentication, so nothing fancy. Let's just keep it simple, because there's a lot of ways to implement such form, a lot of things that might need to be done before, but let's just ask Claude to do the simplest implementation. We'll just take it step by step to make sure that we get every step as we like. Right, I think here it is, it's setting up some access control rules. So it's saying allow all, so it's making it permissive. When we have a proper login feature, I would probably want to constrain this access control rules so that it's not going to allow different people to edit items that they don't have access to. All right, let's try again, Dell laptop. So put the description here, price and quantity. Let's try again. Okay, so it cleared the form, so it looks like it did something, and we can see here, it added the item to our Saasufy control panel. All right. Let's go back to Claude here. We'll say, make it so that the name of the item cannot be more than, say, 20 characters long. So just testing to see what happens if we impose a constraint on a particular field and want to see an error of some kind. So that's kind of what I want to test by this. So that's okay. Okay, so it's deploying. So every time it makes a schema change, it's going to deploy. Here it's trying to constrain how many characters the user can type into the text field. Let's tell it not to do that. So because I want to actually show an error. So I want to allow the user to type any number of characters, but if they do, I will want to show them an error. So they just do that because part of the reason for this is I want to test to see if the errors are working, so that later if I add additional constraints, it's going to show an error. So let's have a look how that works. Just I put an extra long name here. All right, it seems to be working. So value cannot exceed 20 characters in length, shown in the right place. That's good. So it didn't add it to the collection. Let's try a different one. Just double checking that there are no regressions, that it still works as before. Yep. Okay, so it's working. Can you please add a table, let's see, underneath the current form, and this way we're going to show the list of the items in the inventory. So let's say I want to see the name, let's say quantity and price. So I don't need to see every property necessarily in the table, like the description could be a bit long. So let's just ask for these 3 fields. Right, it's adding a collection viewer, which is a component which allows us to view items in a collection and can be filtered based on a particular view or query, if you like. So here's adding some styling. Okay, it's adding the body of each row, I guess, in the it's like a table. So it's adding a table with each row that's going to display. All right, so refreshing this. See, it doesn't look quite right. There's a kind of rendering issue here. Let's not worry about it. Let's just ask Claude to fix that. So I can see the items, but there seems to be a rendering issue. So just tell it what I'm seeing here and let it figure out what's wrong. So to me, it looks like this is trying to call a function to kind of sanitize the price, but this function does not actually exist. So it seems to have hallucinated it. So let's just ask. But let's not worry about that. Just need to ask it to fix it. Should be fine. Okay, that looks right. All right, so let's have a look. Refresh, Control R, Command R on Mac. That looks, I mean, it doesn't look great as a table, but it's showing the correct values. You can see the 2 items I added. Though the table is not great, so let's try to fix that also. So the table alignment is not right. So the problem is you can see the values are not aligned under each header. So let's say this. So all the cell values float to the left and are not aligned with the headers. Right, yes. It looks like it's trying to make this table into a grid, which is a more CSS friendly structure. So that seems like a reasonable thing to do. All right, so here we can see it's not quite right. I'm not sure if it's better, but it seems like it put the headers, they like displayed vertically instead of horizontally. So let's tell it to fix that. Now the headers are stacked vertically, and the values as well. So we want them to be aligned neatly. Try to just change everything to proper. Yeah, that looks better. Still a bit small. Just ask it to make the table wider. And also we'll also add it to add a delete button as well. So generally I don't like to ask Claude to do too much at once, but this is, I think, a relatively small change, so we'll give it a try. Right, it's importing some components to delete, and also a confirm modal that looks like it will ask for confirmation from the user before they delete an item. And it's also adding some CSS styling here. Okay, yes. Yeah, I'm feeling extra lazy, so let's just say yes to everything. I kind of understand the people who vibe code with like 10 windows at the same time. I feel like I could do this right now. Let's try and delete. Oh, seems to work. And you can see deleted in the collection as well on the Saasufy control panel. So it works. Can you please make the table wider though? Let's make it full width because it's still not wide enough for me. I'm not sure if it made it any wider than it was before, but yeah, let's make it full width, and that way there's no alternative interpretation. Seems like a width 100, that's promising. Let's see, yeah, looks good. Okay, so I'm going to say I want to be able to edit the price and quantity of each item in the table. So let's have a go. Seems like it's reading the docs, which is good. Importing the relevant component, I should say. Okay, as he's kind of doing some optimizations, so some of the fields were loaded as part of the model, and now I think they're going to be added. Okay, you can see here they're added as part of the model input. So it's doing it in quite optimal way actually, so it's quite good. Can see, yep, so we can see some input fields here. Let's see if they work though. I might put side by side with the control panel. Let's try to edit the price here. I'm just going to change this to 1,300. Yep, 1,300. It's working. Let's edit on the control panel and make sure it updates here. Yeah, it updates back. And let's change this quantity. Okay, good. Yeah, quantity was updated. It works in both directions. Let's add another laptop here, another item. Just make sure this still works. It's always good to check for regressions, especially when you add new features. Although it's kind of one of the strengths of Saasufy to avoid regressions is one of the main features, which is quite useful. It's something that's very common when you're developing without AI as well, but with AI it's even more common in general. And so it's actually one of the main selling points of Saasufy is that it actually it's really good at preventing regressions. So that means breaking something that used to work. So as you add more complexity, sometimes you can break something, but yeah, Saasufy quite good at avoiding this. But it's always good to test anyway. So here we're going to ask, can you please improve the styling to make the app look more professional? Because it's a bit basic still. So we'll tell it to center the form and table. Yeah, so that they don't take up the full width of the screen as they do in this case currently. Just adding a lot of CSS. Oh, I'm glad I didn't have to write that. That would have been a world of pain. Shenaniganing. How do you pronounce that? Shenaniganing. Simmering. Yes, accept. Alright, seems to clean up. Let's have a look. Oh, that's much better. That's pretty good that I can do that in one go. Because I hate hand holding through this kind of thing. Although I could probably make it look prettier, but at least it looks kind of semi-decent now. Just check that the existing features or the features that were implemented before still work. Okay, and also we want to remove this home link at the top from the navbar because it's not needed. We just have one page. Done. Let's check. Good. So can you please add a search box above the table so that I can search filter items by name? So in this case, I would expect that it's going to create a new view in the Saasufy control panel to provide this kind of search filtering functionality. You can see it's reading the docs. Let's have a look at the control panel actually under the view here to see. So there's only still one view, but I expect it should create another one if it's doing it correctly. And that one should be a more advanced one, which provides the filtering capability or search capability. Oh, it did something here, so that's probably creating the view. Have a look. Yes, we can see search view, so it's appropriately named. And then it's trying to deploy, starting the service start. So yeah, because every time it makes a schema change, it needs to make a fresh deployment for it to take effect. Just adding input provider here. This will be our search box. You can see it adds a query in here, an inline query in the HTML. And the view looks pretty good. Yeah, that looks like how I would do it. So do a search. Yeah, okay, good, it's working. And try a few more. Yeah, HP. Yeah, that seems to be working. However, yeah, it doesn't look great because the input box is too close to the table. So can you please fix the spacing? Apart from that, it looks pretty good. Okay. Good. Maybe I should test this filtering capability by adding a few more items. Okay. Good. So it's good to check that you didn't break anything after you implement a new feature, especially a major one like this. Let's try and see. Yeah, seems to be working pretty well. Add another item. I want to add a few laptops so that I can filter by the word laptop, just to make sure it's all good. Oh, I'm getting lazy with all these, making up these numbers. Too bad Claude can't make them up for me. And probably I could, I'm too lazy to set up. All right, so 5. Yeah, seems like it's updating still. It's good to like test, like when you combine multiple features together, just test to make sure that it's still functioning as expected. And I'm going to add yet another feature on top of all this. It's going to be pagination. So pagination means that if there's too much data to display in the table, it's going to allow you to navigate through different pages of the table by using a previous or next button. So going to get to add pagination, and it should still work with our filtering feature. So for example, I could type a filter and could have too many records to fit in one page. Here I asked to put at most 5 items per page just to make it obvious that the pagination is working, but we can easily change it later if 5 items is a bit not many. So but let's make it easy to test for this demo. You can see it's adding some elements for pagination. Let's give it a crack. Okay. can see it's got 5 items here, so maybe the pagination itself is working, although I'm not seeing the next and prev buttons. Let's try adding another item and see if the number of items per table is constrained to 5. Seems to be the case. So I think it looks like the pagination is working, but the previous and next button don't appear to be working yet. So I'll say I do not see a prev or next button. Can you please add them underneath the table? I'm not using very fancy language here. I'm just using layman's terms, hopefully. But it's good to be very specific anyway about like the position of things and to be very clear about what's missing, to avoid any ambiguous statements and any ambiguous requirements. Okay, so that looks like it did something, looking better. Some styling fixes. Let's refresh. Oh, good. Look, that's it's working perfectly. Let's try and make sure the pagination works after I filter. Good, yeah. So I can see they're both grayed out now because there's only one item that matches this filter. Laptop, yeah, we've got 2 items here. And both prev and next buttons are grayed out again, as expected. Alright, that's it for this demo. I hope you've enjoyed it. As you can see, I did not write a single line of code, so this was a truly no-code experience. I hope this demo gave you a good idea about how to use Saasufy with Claude Code. As you can see, we didn't go for a kind of fire and forget approach. Instead, we opted to take Claude through each feature one by one, and this is the best way to ensure that we get exactly what we want. If you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe. Also, please do try out Saasufy and let me know what you think. I'm always looking for feedback. So that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed it again, and until next time, bye.